Welcome to the San Juan Islands. The San Juan Islands are in the Puget Sound, a part of Washington State, and into Canada. You're going to join us for a trip as we sail the San Juans and the Gulf Islands. We'll see the scenery, the marine animals, the boats, the planes, and perhaps, if we're lucky, even find an orca whale. Join us for our trip. There you go. I will try to record some more here. I'll look right down at the bottom here. You see them swimming underneath. There's one underneath right now. The other one just went. There goes another one to the left. There it goes underneath. Oh, beautiful shot. There's a surface over there. There it goes. All right. There's another one. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Great shot. Two of them. In addition to the porpoise, we also see the clipper. It's the hydrofoil going from Vancouver, excuse me, Victoria to Seattle. And then off in the distance, pirate ship. Well, at least that's what it looks like from here. Square rigger. Maybe we'll get lucky and get up with it. It's going in the opposite direction from us, but we may turn around and go for it anyway. Here's a fishing boat coming along. Oh, we're going to be on a collision course with them, I'm sure. But somebody will move. We'll figure out who. Now you can see the porpoise heading over to the Easy Rider. They'll run right off the bow, just like you do here. A 34-foot sailboat in the Straits of San Juan de Fuca. The land that you see kind of up ahead is Victoria, Canada. Looking behind us, that's San Juan Island. We'll be going back there later on tonight. You can see it's overcast, cloudy, but we have some good wind. There you can see the shape of the sails. A lot of big ship traffic out here, and you have to really watch out at night because they can go cruising along pretty fast and their radar doesn't pick up a small sailboat. We'll shoot back on this thing in just a couple minutes to see how much closer it is. Well, a couple of minutes have passed and you can see how large it is. That's pretty close. Motoring anywhere to the island. We're probably 100 feet from the shoreline, and the water is over 300 feet deep right here. Just a minute ago, and unfortunately we missed it, a bald eagle went flying along the coastline between here and the rocks. Maybe another one will come back later. Another shot of the island, what it looks like. Rocks. But there are seals there. All along through there. Looks like a white thing right in the center. That's a seal. Well, you can see the size of the rock we're looking at. Not very large. Every time we've been sailing out here, we've always seen seals here. This must be one of their local favorite habitats. See occasionally one move around. Kind of a lazy afternoon. One in the center just laying out, sunning itself. There we'll see one in the water. We normally do. Goodbye to the seals. It's a little island where all the seals were. We're now about 4 or 5 minutes away to another island called Spuyten Island. Let me change the camera location. Spuyten Island. And one of the things that are on this island are a lot of wildlife like deer, goats, antelope. You can see some right up in the center of the screen. An individual. On the water's edge is a crane. sized bird. Pretty good sized bird. There's a couple more there. Now they see us, they hear us. Still paying attention to us though. The side of the island we're looking at is the south side that gets a lot of sun. The other side of the island is heavily wooded, so dense you really can't see anything through there. The animals seem to be on the south side a lot, or at least that's where we can see them, because it's wide open. They have a lot of grass to eat.
Hello. He says, well, what are you guys looking at? Oh my goodness, let me out of here.
Well, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning, and you can hear the motor running. We're getting ready to take off. We're at a place called Stewart Island, Reed Harbor. See a lot of boats out here this morning. Windy and rainy last night, but this morning there's no wind, no rain, blue sky. We're going to head out and see if we can find the whales again. Try one more time. Porpoise dive in front of the... I don't see any right now. We'll watch for a second. I don't see any. Water turning around us is from the tidal currents. In Texas, for example, you have a high tide and low tide, but it hasn't really created currents. Through here, because of all the islands, as the tide comes in, and it may come in 7 feet, 8 feet higher than the low tide, as the water goes back out, it sets up real high currents that may be 3, 4, 5, 6 miles an hour. And when you get in some of those currents, the boat's not fast enough to go against the current. Now look up ahead, you can see the kind of like rapids. That's part of that current. There's some clear spots. Those are boils where the water is going around in circles, almost like a whirlpool. And right now, we're actually been trolling with a fishing line out in this area, trying to see if we can pick up or catch some salmon. And the waves you see right behind us are the waves of that big ship that are coming in. I hear that's one of the many lighthouses around here. It tells the boater of rock dangers, land dangers. Tell them to beware. Get ready to go into a feeding frenzy area here. We're not really sure what's down there yet, but boy, the birds are sure excited. Must be fish. Look at that. Oh, you see the little fish there. See the little fish jumping around?
Yeah.
That's why the birds are having a heyday. That's kind of interesting. Actually, this is not a lighthouse anymore. There's no light turning around. In the old days, there used to be one. Now it's more the foghorn, which is on the whole time, whether there's fog or not. It still helps the boaters be aware of what's going on. That blue thing in the center of the screen is our barbecue grill. We do most of our meals that way. The mask. The little thing that comes in the center of the screen now is a device that helps big boats with radar see this boat because there's so much plastic. That's a radar detector device. Crab pots we'll throw over sometime this trip and see if we can catch some crabs. And we'll show you that later on. Sailing in the northwest is about. One day it's extremely windy. Yesterday we had 18-mile-an-hour winds, and today there's nothing. One right in front of us in the center of the camera. We just took off a minute ago. and we'll take a picture of one taking off or landing. Now, Mrs. Wren has been in a seaplane before, and she can tell you a little bit about that exciting experience of taking off and landing. Well, it's Tuesday morning. We're leaving Ganges. Ganges is a little town on an island called Saltspring, which is in British Columbia. You'll see a lot of seaplanes around here. Hopefully we'll find one taking off before the trip's over. And the Royal Canadian Mounted Police vessel. One of the pleasures of sailing in the San Juan Islands and the Gulf Islands is you always see a variety of other interesting boats. The salmon fishing boats around here, these big, huge bat wings that stick out. Boats, for example, this boat behind us. Well, we try to pass this up, and we'll try not to let it pass us up. And of course, other times we're trying to pass other boats up, and they don't want us to pass them up. It's an informal, unspoken race, but sailors do it all the time. Well, no sign of whales yet. We're still out sailing up in Canada. It's a very gorgeous day. Not too windy. Just the different islands. The boat you're seeing now is the one that was behind us earlier, and we've kind of gone all side by side. Actually, we were about 10 feet apart from each other for a while. When we had a turn and they turned, and we were right next to each other. We could have almost handed each other a Coca-Cola. Well, it's another morning. We're leaving Montague Harbor. That's where we've been moored. There are mooring buoys there that are anchored down so you can hook your boat up to the mooring buoy. Another clear day, cold day. The moon is still out. It's about, not quite 8 o'clock in the morning. They say to expect rain. We hope not. We're going out again to hunt for whales. To a few people who have said that we may find whales off a certain island, and we're heading over there just to find whales. Well, I think what you're seeing is a wreck of an old boat that on high tide tried to go between that island and that island, and thought it could make its way through. Didn't make it. Oh, this is the British Columbia ferry system again. We see these ferries all over out here in the islands. It was kind of aiming towards us, and it pulled off a bit so we wouldn't have a collision course. Plumb with the shoreline. Let me turn the camera to be plumb with the actual boat itself. That's the angle we're on. Kind of frightening sometimes, isn't it? We've got about, say 12, 13 knot winds. Those are pretty good winds. Well, it's about half an hour has passed since our last video recording right now, but it's died down quite a bit. The islands you're seeing in the distance are the San Juan Islands. That's in the American waters. We're heading back to the American waters right now. As you can see, kind of bouncing around here. One military ship coming in. All those big ships move pretty fast. That's a Canadian ship, it's not U.S.
Also, we get to see a military helo. We think he's attached to the ship. He comes again.
make sure there's nothing in the way of obstructions or other things that make...
Ooh. A little bumpy here.
There's one swimming right in front of the boat. Oh, yes. That's a huge walrus again, but they don't always be where we want them to be. There, see it? There we go. Just went under the water. Oh, nice shot. Well, there's one down there, but under the water there. There it comes. There it went up. Oh, good. Well, this is a little bit later the same day, same morning, actually about an hour after we, or actually about half an hour after we shot that big bull seal. We're motoring now because the wind's pretty choppy, pretty bad. You can see from some of the big waves that splash up here. So it's gotten pretty rough out here. We had to drop the sails. There's just too much wind to make it. And every once in a while we take a huge, like a roller coaster ride. Although we seem to be moving somewhat out of the wind, it's not quite as bad as it was about 10 minutes ago. Wind. Well, we said we'll try to get a seaplane taking off. We'll see what happens here. Heading downwind through the boats. This is Roach Harbor. And then when it gets downwind, it'll take off into the wind. Well, it's toward the end of the day. Sun setting. Oh, I guess I just went behind the mountains, as a matter of fact. And we're in a little cove with a lot of western exposure, so if we have a lot of heavy west winds tonight, it will rock and roll in here. Well, we're still getting a marvelous sunset. You can also see lots of clouds out there, which leads us to believe that we may have heavy rain tomorrow morning or tonight. That's what a mooring buoy looks like. Oops, there it goes. Hidden. Well, as you can see, night time is coming on. Way in the distance are the clouds spewing over the top of the mountains of the furthest islands. You can also see the other islands, some lights lighting up. It's time to call it a night, sit down and have dinner, and relax after a hard day's sailing. Well, it's morning time. We're on Susha Island. Clear skies. They talked about rain last night, rain this morning. It didn't have it. We had a lot of weather and the boat rocked a lot throughout the night. That was all. Gorgeous day today. Things you're looking at now are kelp. That's part of the kelp beds. In California, the kelp can grow at the rate of 1 foot a day. Kelp beds become a haven for the fish, the seals, and other marine life.
We're now in Susha.
Go back tomorrow. We've left Sushi Island. We're off of Matia Island. See a bunch of seals in the rocks. We're just kind of cruising by them. It's our first day without brilliant sunshine. Maybe some fitting clothes for the trip. Who knows? It's a wide-angle shot. And if we look up to the left, we'll see a bunch of more over in those rocks. These appear to be sea lions versus just regular seals. All lounging around. You know, it's Saturday, it's a day off. Camera, you see a white one. Kind of interesting. And way off to the left, there's a couple more. They're in isolation. They've been bad guys. This one guy moving here in the center of the camera now. He was moving a second ago. Yeah. There. That's where we were last night, over at Susha. Skipperess. Skipperess.
Right.
Isn't that a gorgeous jacket she has on? Oh, she's scoping out the landfall there.
Right.
You can see the crab pots we have on deck. Up.
What's the sailing been?
Well, we've been motoring this morning, but we're going to put up the sails in about 2 minutes. And it's going to be wonderful. Because the wind is howling at a good 10 knot wind, maybe 11 knot wind. That's going to be fun.
Good.
Fun.
Well, you look like you're all ready for it, all dressed up. Yes. Uh-huh.
Got the right hat?
Right.
Right socks?
Woo!
Let's do it.
All right.
Sail up.
Well, Gary, you got some wind.
Hey, you bet.
Oh, it's a pleasant, windy day. Love to hear the sound of the water splashing and see a little sea spray. Oh, it's like to cook at sea. Pretty exciting. Week of being here. Oh. Boy, it's looked quite a bit worse than this. It's pretty good now.
Well, we're stopped for lunch at a little island called Clark Island. You can see.
Well, I tell you, this sure beats rowing. On San Juan Island. Out in front is Victoria, and I'm going to have the Olympics behind, and Harrow Strait in front. I'm going to back off a little bit so you can get a perspective. And below us is Garrison Bay. There's a little island there called Gus Island, and our boat is down there. I'll get a close-up here. And there's our boat down below. We had quite an adventure this morning. A fellow waved at us and said, Did you come by shore? Did you come by boat to shore? And he said, yes. He said, our dinghy is way out there. Someone had not tied down their dinghy, and it had floated away. So Barry, being a good guy, went off and helped rescue the dinghy. Here to the right. Look off into Canada, across Henry Island. And there's a little bit of Roach Harbor. And I don't know the name of this little harbor down here. But you can see quite a ways here. It's so woody. We've had a really marvelous time. Lots of sunshine. Once in a while some wind. Run across deer, like 30 or 40. It's truly amazing.
Well, unfortunately, we didn't find any orca whale this year. But who knows, maybe next year we'll be luckier and we'll find some. We've enjoyed our trip, and hopefully you've enjoyed having a chance to see the San Juan Islands and the Gulf Islands and the Canadian waters. Seeing the seals and the porpoise and the deer and the ships, and having a fun adventure sailing with Gary and Jan. Until next year, bye.